Okay, we are excited today because we get to have with us a Monterey Peninsula icon. His former altar boy for Carmel Mission. Born in Chomp, he's been making noise ever since. Okay, Jeff Davi has been a top producing realtor since 1989. Narb was around then, right?
Yes.
All right. And he's also been one of the most prominent and active members of our community, both statewide and local. Here's a few of his involvements. Past member of the Board of Realtors, or Board of Directors for the California Association of Realtors, Realtor of the Year, President of MCAR. He was appointed by Governor Schwarzenegger to become the California Real Estate Commissioner. And one of his accomplishments there is he was very instrumental in passing legislation to better protect consumers from unscrupulous loan modification schemes. And there were a lot of them. And there's a list about as long as my arm with all of the public service groups and accomplishments he has, but we'll just give no further ado. And if you could please give a hand to Mr. Jeff Davi.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, a lot of people want to know a lot about you. Could you tell me just a little bit about your background and how you kind of came to do what you do?
Okay. So some people don't realize I was originally going to be pre-med in college. My mom, when I grew up, was pretty sick, so we always had to deal with her. And she had TMJ, she had other health issues. So I'm like, I want to go get a doctor degree and solve mom's problems. So I literally went to college with that plan. But a doctor named Dr. Corey in biochemistry walked me out of class one time and said, look kid, you're failing my class and you're going to fail pre-med. Change to another major and I'll give you a C so you don't waste the credits. And I said, Dr. Corey, thank you very much. I took my C and called my dad and said, I'm going into business. And so I got a business degree from St. Mary's and I just went into family business. And that's what our whole family did. So I'm one of the few guys that graduated college and went into real estate. Most people, it's a second career. You know, it's a change.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
Now, there are some other things that influenced Jeff's life as well. We just wanted to do a real brief look at that. Starting with this time in school.
Oh, yeah.
That was the original Monterey Peninsula home team, Stevenson High, Big on campus. Now, there was an event in Jeff's life that kind of, you didn't want to talk about, that changed him just a little bit. Along came the college years, and, I think Jeff might want to explain those things, why he went from playing football to being on that was a rowing team.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got some pretty good shape there.
I did.
Yeah.
I was like 190 pounds back then. Crazy.
So, why didn't you go on the football team in college?
Yeah, well, so I wanted to go to Santa Clara, but I couldn't get in. And when that time you sent tapes up to coaches, and I had gone to St. Mary's, sent tapes to St. Mary's. I couldn't get to Santa Clara, so I settled at St. Mary's. And I wasn't sure I was going to St. Mary's, so I never called that coach at all. Well, I walked on, and guy's name was Coach DeLuca, and he's like, what are you doing here? He did not want me to play on this team at all. I don't know what his problem was. He literally walked me off and said, you're not playing. You can't play on my team. He went on to have a 0-for-10 season. And he was fired the next year. The team, they stopped football the next year too at St. Mary. But I was pissed. I walked through the quad and I was just miserable. There's this huge canoe. I mean, it's like an 8-man shell. What the hell is that thing? So I walk over to see what it is, and they go, it's a crew boat. And I go, so rowing, huh? And I thought, well, it's like some of the stripes. I'll lose some weight, So I said, I'll do the crew team. So I did it, and it was crazy. I mean, I really loved it. But so 6 in the morning practices, double days. We used to run to practice. And I did all 4 years. I mean, I formed the Associated Rowers at St. Mary's College. I fell hook, line, and sinker, so I loved it. But all because a coach would let me play football.
Not like that. Who's the actress who's had her daughter's head superimposed on a roller and got arrested?
Yeah.
That's
bad. We didn't do that stuff.
So would you recommend this business to your daughter?
It's funny, I have my daughter in the business. I still have And the truth is, I did not recommend it to any of them. She started a different career path. And then I have another daughter who I said, do anything except real estate. And it's not because I hate the business, it's because this business requires you to be unemployed every day. So I want them to have benefits, a paycheck, no stress. And so why would you want that for your kid, right? So, but Rochelle is doing great, and It's awesome. Ironically, my daughter Lexi just got a job at Cushman and Wakefield, so she's in real estate too. And my other two boys graduated college, they're both MLOs in Arizona. So every one of my kids, except Brian, are literally in this business.
Wow.
And I told them, you don't have to do it, do something else. So
Yeah, well, it kind of works that way with our kids.
you can't control
They do the opposite.
do whatever they want, man.
So if you were a new agent today versus 1989, what would you do different, do you think? What did you learn from back then, your mistakes?
I'd probably be a lot more methodical on my daily activities. Because I'm doing that now, and I didn't do it back in the beginning. Make my phone calls to my sphere. I work my sphere a lot better. I've developed that over time, and I mean, you know, once you have that, it doesn't take much, you know, 50, 80, 100 people. That is like gold. And I just, when I first got started, I didn't do it that well, you know. It was 89, I mean, you know, it was different time. Pretty much just, you know, put your sign up and wait for people to walk in.
Right.
And it was just, nowadays there's so much technology, there's so many people in the business. If you're not talking to your clients, you lose them. And I've lost them by not calling them.
Now, you've been in the business a long time. Back to when the MLS, it used to be in notebooks, the updates. You had papers, you had replaced twice a week.
Yeah.
Other than the technology, what's changed the most?
Well, technology's definitely changed. It's just so much faster. Everything's fast. It's instant. I mean, the client can see the house on Hawthorne in 2 seconds. And if you don't pull it up on your phone while you're talking to them, they're asking, why do they call you? You know? And it happens all the time. Hey, I saw a house on Bartholomew. And I'm like, oh yeah, that one, you know? It's so instant. And it wasn't like that in the old days. The old days, that's all it is. I'm my father.
So, looking at it from that point of view, what hasn't changed at all? What's stayed the same?
I would say what we literally do. We show houses and we write contracts. And I know the contracts have changed a ton, but it's still the fundamental thing. We show a house, they like it, we write up a contract. I mean, the contracts are obviously a lot longer, but that's our fundamental thing, you know. Yeah, we protect our clients, yeah, we do education, we know all the rules, but that core function just hasn't changed. And it never is going to. I don't know. I mean, even if you're showing them on a virtual tour in 20 years and they're in New York and you're in LA, you're still going to be showing them the house and writing up the contract, I think.
So, take a new agent or a newer agent, look at the qualities that you believe they need to possess to really not just survive, but to thrive in today's environment. What are some of those qualities you think are needed or necessary?
They got to be good people. You know, they got to communicate. They have to be, I think, very regimented on what they do, I think. And I've gotten better at this over time, but you're never going to be good at it. But you got to, I mean, I put stuff on my calendar that, you know, doesn't belong on your calendar, like get up, go for a walk, you know, work out, make your phone calls, call your sellers. And if it's not in there, it's like you don't do it, you know. And I think that the more organized you are, the better off you're going to be, really.
So speaking of organized, do you have a routine that you follow most days?
Yeah.
Well, what does that look like?
Well, every day is different, but I mean, the same concept, right? I try to get up and work out in the mornings. That's a newer thing. It's going okay. Thanks for
He's going to be that one guy.
You're like, you're right, loaded. But I mean, really, like, you know, on Mondays and Tuesdays, I'll always call the clients for the week, the listings, about 15, 16 clients. At least talk to them, tell them what's going on, give them an update. Then Wednesdays, I'll send out a report to those clients, and I'm going to usually call prospects. So I call my sphere, and then I'll send out cards, probably on Thursdays, you know, 3 or 4 cards. Not that many, 4 or 5, working for them. And I do all that stuff probably before 10 o'clock. Because by the 10 o'clock, your day's shot. If you think you control your days, you're crazy. So I do everything in the morning from like, you know, 8 o'clock until 10:30, and then, you know, we have our meetings, we have appointments, people call and now control the rest of your day. And I do not like doing it in the afternoons. I'm more of a morning guy. But you can do it in the afternoons, it's no problem. But I think the key is to do it. And you gotta have a plan, I think.
Do you have anything that, like, in order to get yourself to a point where you're going to do all those routines, what do you do to get yourself motivated? Any tricks, anything, like, do you wake up and chant?
I usually play a little Rocky music on the headphones.
Yeah.
I have that on my little, I have these Google headphones, I don't know where the hell they are right now. Like,
The
they're
sunglass
glasses.
ones?
Yeah, where do I leave those?
I don't know what they're
They're
called.
glasses with the speaker in them. And so they're awesome. I can just be like 2 seconds of Rocky walking out of my car. And that thing just pumps me up. So it works. That's my thing.
Yeah, there's always TMI.
Always something. You would never know I'm playing it. You just see me walking up to the car.
You hear the whistle.
Yeah.
Now you're at this point in your career, you're still looking for new clients, right?
For sure.
Okay. What are your top methods to procure them?
Meeting people. That's probably my best one. Just when I meet someone and I, try to instantly get a rapport and find out if they're going to be someone I can sell something to or buy something for.
How do you do that? How do you get? You meet somebody for the very first time. What's your?
Well, it's just like anything, hey, how's it going? And then what do you do? And they tell you, well, I'm a stockbroker. I'm a real estate broker. And all of a sudden you start, talking. And usually you can tell if they have someone that they're committed to. So then they just, okay, it's an acquaintance. But if they, they're always curious, what's the market doing? What's going on now? I have a house in Carmel. What's it worth? So in about 2 seconds, you can start giving them some value. And if they care, they're going to say, yeah, well, you could turn that into just saying hi to, hey, come give me a CMA at my house. I'm not that crazy, like all the time, but that's how it works. And then a lot of times an open house, if I'm doing open houses, that is the best way to get clients, But because everything we do, you get clients. When I first started, I used to leave my business card at every check at every table when I go have lunch or something. I just leave the card there, like the waitress going to buy a house. And that's just, what waitress is going to buy a house today in Monterey? Not very many. I'm just saying. But that's just, you just constantly are putting it out there, right? You're just, if you put a label on your door, realtor, inquire within, I would do it. I just think you need to kind of project it all the time.
Yeah, I was once told that you're better off going to the grocery store and looking for produce than you are to sit in your office and
Definitely.
get stuff done.
Yeah. That's why I don't even think I have an office. I know where I spend time PG, spend time in Monterey, and a lot of people do this out of their car. And today it's even more like that, right?
Absolutely, it's very mobile.
Yep.
And that's a good thing because you can spread your net wider. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is your database?
11.
Explain why.
Well, so, and I always laugh because the database can be as big or small as you want, and there can be multiple levels, right? But you need to put down people of influence and people that you can influence on a piece of paper. And I think in any kind of profession or sales, because it's just, your dry cleaner, your insurance agent, everybody, your friend, your coworker coworker, the guy on the board of directors with your board of directors, or your teachers from school for your kids. If you know them, put them in there because they're going to probably buy real estate or sell real estate or know someone who has to. They're going to. And if you're the one that talks to them about it enough, they're going to think of you top of mind. Say, oh, I'm going to call Jeff. My sister's, looking for a place. It just happened to me the other day at the bank. I'm at the bank and one of the tellers, who knows I'm in real estate. Hey, Jeff, how are you? And I'm with the other teller. She purposely comes to my window to say, hi, Jeff, how are you? Because she has a question. I can't find a realtor in Elko, Nevada. And I'm like, well, neither could I. What the hell's Elko, Nevada? But I go, well, I'll find one for you, no problem. Okay, great. That's what I said to her. She's like, great. So within 3 minutes, I'm in the car. I'm on the app trying to find someone. I found Marissa Lanning. Call her up because I couldn't find her on Kelly. But on Marissa Lanning, I just call her and says, hey, I'm a broker at Carmel, Keller Williams, and I'll give you a referral. It's Elko. I wasn't worried about really interviewing the person, you know what I'm saying? Right. So within about 10 minutes, I text Cheryl back, and she's like, thank you so much. I'm not sure if I'll get the referral. I'm not sure what'll happen, but it's just constantly, right? You're constantly thinking about it.
I noticed you said earlier how much your goal to mine through it. People call it database mining. Now, a lot of people, especially newer agents, tend to be overwhelmed. I ask them, how many people do you know? That, well, I know hundreds of people, and whether they do or not. And then one person in particular who's newer said, I have 4,000 people in my database. How do you organize your database?
That's way too many. It's not too many for just last emails, but and a lot of I've told them write down the list and see me next week, and they come with 5 names on a napkin. They don't get it. It's not simple. But once you do it, write down the 100 people with their phone numbers who you could call. That's not simple. It's not. I mean, it's not easy for a 25-year-old. I mean, it depends. I don't call your college buddies, but so write them down. That's the first thing, and then you got to organize them like just people that you know, and that just that could be the 4,000 number. Just over your life, you've run into people and you've gathered their information, but you have no idea if they're buyers, sellers, or what they're going to do. So maybe you put them in just a master email database, right? So you might email them once a quarter, once a month. And one of them might call you and say, hey, I got your email, I'm curious about X, Y, and Z. Then you bring them over to the real database. That's what I would do. In the real database where you have your prospects, or you have your party list invitations, or your people that you've already sold, buyers and sellers. Those should be smaller, I would think. A couple hundred here, a couple hundred there. But a 4,000 person database, if you have the emails on it, you could really mine it well. But you really don't want to spend a lot of time. I mean, I don't see you calling 4,000 people a year. I mean, I just don't see. I go through my database, so I can tell you now, about every quarter. It's about 200 people, and I mean, that's the key. And it's probably, and they know. I have people that they know when I'm calling them. Oh, hey Jeff, I don't want to sell my house yet. I know you don't, Peter, but what about your neighbors? And then they pause. They go, well, yeah. And then once in a while they go, yeah, so and so had a garage sale, and why don't you give them a call? And can I tell them you told me to call them? And it does work.
For anyone who thinks they're just being pushed, do your database. It's huge. It's your goal.
It is.
What about social media? How do you use that for your business?
We use it a lot. I mean, not a lot. We pay those ads, to send around on Facebook, that kind of thing. And we're finding it's more and more effective lately. Like when I first joined the home team with Mark, we hardly did anything like that at all. Okay, but now in the last 2 years, we're doing it with listings. We're doing probably 4 or 5 a week. Nothing crazy, but $50 here, $50 there, and just getting results. So we're. I mean, you're doing a little bit of it too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's free, with the exception of those paid spots. Versus if you think about putting an ad in the paper, and you're just broadcasting to strangers, it does work. You're all finding it's working, I think, a little more now, right? I think it's working really better. So.
What about as far as just interaction with other people, like personal Facebook page to personal Facebook page, Instagram, next door?
Yeah. We're on all that stuff, and I'll post like in the open house. One time, we usually do sandwiches at our open houses, at our tours. One time I did these chopstick salads that my wife got from Costco. And little tiny, really cute to-go boxes. And so, I was in there, I filmed it, come up by the open house, I got Chinese chicken salad to go, and I put it on Facebook, and like 10 people, they came to that chicken salad. They didn't want a sandwich, they wanted chicken salad. So. And I just posted it on, Facebook. It didn't cost me anything. And then, of course, you go and like it, other people like it. It's that whole viral thing. And I'm not a big social media guy. I just put stuff on there when I feel like it, and then our team puts stuff on there, and I put certain listings, put certain videos. So I'm probably not maximizing it, but we have the team and the staff to.
Sure. And I noticed that talking to Mark and Linda too, y'all are starting to use a lot of video, more and more so.
More video.
What are your thoughts on that?
I hate making them, to be honest. Part of the fun. But they are good, and clients talk to you about it. They go, hey, I saw your video, it's really cool, and we stopped doing it for a couple months, and people told me, where are your videos? I miss them. So, now we're back doing them again. So they're good. They're just different. I think the key to this is differentiating yourself from other people. There's how many realtors in this town? 1,500, And thank God very few do a lot of business, but we're all competing with each other. There's plenty of pie out there, but you got to differentiate yourself. So the videos are doing that, and they're easy. They're not expensive.
Any other types of marketing that you find particularly effective?
Let's see. I think anything you do on the internet's the best thing because of the cost. We're big on that. We have a whole website that we created, and Mark's the mastermind behind it. But just to bring in buyers. You look at our website, and it's hard to find a picture of us at the entrance pages. It's all about searching. We got videos from the community, because people want to say, well, what's PG like? What's Carmel like? So there's videos. Now, we're in those videos, of course, talking about it, but the whole thing, when you go to our website, it's a picture of the Stillwater Cove and the range of prices to search for a house. And our whole goal is to capture someone searching for a house using the MLS and EXV, and those leads come back to our team, and we send them around. And I mean, since doing that since 2012, we have about a 6,000 email database. Now, a lot of those people are already bought houses, they're flakes, who knows? But, you know, we can narrow it by zip code if they told us where they live or where they're looking. And I mean, we go on listing presentations and tell them, hey, we're here on Product of Soul. We got 300 people in our database that we know look for property here already. So we can send them out right now. And, you know, that's a little bit different than other people.
Yeah, so absolutely. Do you make a business plan every year?
Always, yeah.
What does it look like?
It's very, very, very easy, very short. You know, number of deals you want in the year, total dollar volume. And you can't get there by just writing that on a piece of paper. So if that's your end result, you got 52 weeks in the year. So how many transactions do you need per month? How many showings do you need per week to get those transactions? And my new thing now is I go into zip forms. I go into all our zip forms and I look, because you can tell me you're calling people and it's hard to track that, right? But I can tell if you're not, and you tell me you're showing property, it's hard to track that too. If I'm writing up offers, I know, right? If you're writing up offers, then I can see it. And I mean, I've taken people's sites and said, look, you never an offer in 7 weeks. Who are you showing property to? I mean, I'm not saying you gotta write an offer every week, but if you're showing 2 or 3 people a week, that should equate to maybe, an offer every 10, 12 days, or maybe every 20. And you're not doing that. So what's wrong? What's the disconnect? Are you showing people that are qualified, so you get to the bottom of it. So my whole plan is that way. Basically, per week, showings, need about 3 to 4, and then how many offers you can write and how many offers you accept. Because, it's funny, people say, I want to sell 30 houses or 25 houses in a year. Well, it's already 3 months in, you sold 2. So nothing's wrong with that. That's very impressive. But you're on pace to do, about 12 or 9.
Yeah, right.
So you want to reevaluate, or do you just want to have endless goals that don't make sense? I don't believe in that. So I think you should reevaluate and just adjust down. Around here, 9 houses is good in a year. Nothing's wrong with that. You make good money in Monterey, Carmel, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you sold 9 last year, your goal should be to sell 12 next year. And that's the key.
Now, I've talked to different agents over the years, and I'll ask them somewhere around May or June, where's your business plan? And the answer is usually, and if I ask, well, what are your goals? And you used to say, well, it's collecting dust on the shelf. Now we could just say that it's sitting somewhere in Dropbox. How often do you look at your business plan?
I'd say quarterly, probably. Quarterly, yeah.
So the stuff's top of mind, the numbers are always on top of mind? Okay. I like to refer to Pareto's principle, which is the 80-20 rule, where we typically spend 20% of our time to get 80% of the results, and vice versa. We spend 80% of our time for 20% of the results, right?
Yeah.
So we'll call 20% your vital few time. This is the vital few things. What are your 20% activities?
I'd put prospecting, showing property, writing offers. That makes sense. And then you spend a lot of time meeting inspectors and writing MLS forms, and that kind of stuff. Maybe touring is pretty important. Yeah, to me. I don't think that's probably 20. Touring, property, no inventory, 20%. But there's a lot of stuff you do that's kind of mundane, but you have to do it to get to the
that
20%. Yeah.
Okay. What about the 80% stuff, the stuff that sucks your time? What are some things you find yourself caught when you're doing and you're going, oh man, at the end of the day, you're thinking, I'll never get that time back.
Well, he sits on about 75 boards, so.
Volunteer? I mean, I do a lot of extracurricular stuff like that because I'm an idiot. I say yes a lot. But I mean, I even think sometimes doing an AVID's a pain in the neck, But you have to do it.
Sure.
But I mean, you got to do them, so I can't say that for sure. But I mean, it's probably just, busy work. Just doing stuff that doesn't really lead to the bottom line. And if you just cut a little bit of that out, you have more time for the prospecting, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes we fall into things that are a comfort zone. We like doing it. We enjoy it. We're not getting interruptions. options. Okay. What do you want? You say you do a closing. Happy people. What do you want your people to be saying about you after a closing?
That they were great, you were great. That's the key. I mean, you want that, right? You want positive reinforcement. But also, I mean, when they really get pushed, okay, you answered all my questions. You were on time. You did what you said you would do, and even more, and you exceeded our expectations. I mean, I think that's really the key. I always tell clients, especially newer people in real estate that haven't done a lot of deals, look, I do care what time it is. I don't care what time it is. Call me. I don't want husband and wife going to bed arguing or stressed out about something at 10:30 because the husband heard this and the wife heard this, and they're not. Just call me. I mean, text me. I'll answer it because I'd rather be bothered and solve that problem because I know how stressful it is to literally go to bed thinking one thing and not knowing. And they have no idea. We sell houses all the time. They are selling one house in 6 years or 8 years. And to them, it's the most important thing in the world they're doing. It consumes them. So, I just wouldn't want them to say, God, we had questions we couldn't get answered and that kind of thing. I need that.
And you all try to go for reviews? Do you have reviews?
Yeah. There was a time we spent a lot more time getting reviews. We would advertise some of it, but so it goes in, ebbs and flows in terms of our effort to get them. We try to encourage people to give reviews online, and we haven't. But it's very important. I mean, look, what is it, like 75% of the buyers of a house would use the same realtor to buy a house again, but only 12 or 18 do because the realtor never talks to them, And I mean, that's just terrible, That's just business you're giving up.
Yeah.
And so, we're that way with buyers. We're careful to stay in touch with them. And then we're also sitting with sellers too, because they're also going to relist or sell in the future. And how they experience it is the key. I mean, sometimes someone's not happy and they're not going to come back. But
which leads into the next question. In 5 years from now, what should that same person who loved you when they close be saying about you? What's their interpretation? What's their relationship with you?
Well, I hope they say that they were great and we used them again, right? That's what I hope to say, and that's what I'm shooting for, right? I mean, I really.
How do you maintain that?
So we do a lot of touches, outreaches. So we have a program where, we're telling them it's happy birthday, we're telling them daylight savings time is coming up, change your clock. We always send out the 1090 form, the stupid 1003 forms, the tax forms about January, because they just bought. So we go ahead and grab them and send them out in January with a cover letter. Your accountant needs this because you have, and they have it in their file, but it's hard to find. So that's 3 touches right there. And then we're going to send out something quarterly, like a market study report. And then, we're talking to them too. They're in the sphere. So we're calling them and inviting them to a party, a big client appreciation party in November. So you're touching them 4 or 5 or 6 times a year, and we're hoping that keeps them, right? And it usually does. It really does. My whole philosophy is I don't want a one transaction client. I mean, I always saw our profession is a little bit higher than the car sales profession, and I've always felt that we're professionals, and I want people to think of me like think of their accountant or their lawyer. Well, Daddy's my realtor, so and so's my accountant, so and so's my lawyer. You know what I mean? And they don't say that about their car salesman.
Right.
They just don't. They just go buy a car from whoever they want.
Right.
And I push for that.
I mean, it's nice to be known as a trusted advisor as a realtor. You're never going to say that about the one that just sold you the used Volvo.
No.
It doesn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
But
And the other,
you can get it with the real estate.
you can. And part of our task is to be a fiduciary for the clients. And also back what you're saying is you pay attention to them, they're going to pay attention to you, and that lasts.
And it goes generational. I mean, I've sold kids condos for parents. You know what I mean? And then hey, my kid's getting a place in Arizona. Well, they could have just sent the kid to Arizona, but they call me. Now, I don't know people in Arizona. I mean, I do, but I pick up the phone and call from Arizona and get a referral. I mean, right? And what the hell? You all know that. Refer everywhere. Refer.
Now, listings. We all love listings, right? I love listings. There's a middle part of preparing for a listing, and then there's the other piece of it. So breaking those into 2 parts, how do you prepare for a listing mentally?
Well, the Rocky music again. No, I mean, so we're pretty big on listing, and we have a whole listing program. So, and it took me a while to kind of buy into it when I joined in 2012, because I had come from a private, just mom and pop company. Guy wants to list your house, you grab your papers, books, and run out and go list it. But there is a lot to be said for having a program. And obviously we've done it since 12 and it works. So we're a two-step listing presentation, okay? So someone wants to list their house, they give us the address, we tell them, okay, look, we want to come over and see your house. And then we want to go ahead and go back and do our research and our analysis. Then we're going to come out and we're going to give you the values and we'll roll out our marketing plan. As long as they understand that's the process, they're usually okay with it. A lot of times you get there the first appointment, they go, what's the house worth? Come on, give me a number. You've done this for 10 years, 20 years. And they're really pushy, right? And I'm like, we try to tell them that, look, there are a lot of houses. They're all very unique. And they are. And even though you might know a neighborhood, might know a community, we can probably guess pretty well. But you got to come and see, what's the house like? Is there a bunch of scratches on the floor from a dog? Is there the windows all broken seals, or is it in great shape, bad shape? What's the views like? What's the traffic noise like? So when you see the house, then you now know it, and you go back and now you look at the comps and you can say, okay, this is a better comp than that is, and you end up with a much more accurate value. I philosophically believe that. So I try to tell them that. I go, we're not doing any service if I would have walked into your house having just saw your house for the first time with a pre-printed price in my folder.
Right.
Because I'll be close, but I'm not going to be as close as I will if I do it this way. So most people are cool with that and they're okay with it. So first of all, you explain to them it's a process and you get them to buy into it. It's an important process. Let me do my work and I'll have something that you can value at the end of the process. The other thing is we also are big on the marketing plan. 2 reasons houses don't sell: price and marketing. So we make them understand that the price is their decision and we're going to give them all the data to make the final decision on price, which is the comps and everything. But the marketing plan, we've got that pretty much perfected. And it's like a 4 or 5 page document, talks about all of our advertising, all of our unique things. What differentiates us from other agents, like the lockbox follow-up, or our photographs, or our virtual tour, or our Matterport tour. And when we hit, we know if we hit Friday morning on a listing, that listing, if you hit it right, Friday morning, open houses that weekend, tour the following week. That is the best way to just maximize exposure to that property. Nothing's wrong with hitting Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday, but I'm telling you, Friday, because people seem to get on the computer on Friday after a week and make their plans, and buyers are getting ready for the weekend, and it's just, we know it seems to be better off. So we plug all that in, and the goal is to try to say, look, you can list with anybody. They're going to put on the MLS, pick a price, but we're going to be this much better or different. And that's the whole presentation.
And what do you carry in with you to a listing appointment?
Well, I want to carry in an iPad and just do it all on the iPad. But even us today are not that teched. So we always have printed out. First appointment is just a folder, some letter saying hello, thank you, and then some questions. We give them questions about their house, about how they want to be communicated with. It's really kind of a small packet. We call it their homework. They tell them to come back. You do your homework, we'll do our homework, we'll see you in a couple of days. Or we can do it in 2 hours, doesn't matter. We respect. Then we come back in with the full CMA, printed out in color for each person, a booklet about our marketing plan, and that's pretty much it. Sometimes. And that's for them to keep.
So when it's all said and done, you get a lot of listings. Why do you think the sellers pick you over the competition?
Sometimes they're just going to pick you because they made that decision, and we've all been in that situation, and they try to tell you, I don't need to hear the presentation, just we're going to pick you. But we are pretty adamant about listen to the presentation, because something will happen in that transaction, they're going to get upset about something, you're going to go, remember when I told you this is what we do, this is how we do it? And they'll go, oh yeah, you're right, it's much easier. So in those cases, that's simple. But I think the key is there's something that differentiates us from someone else. I've been there when I'm sitting down and I see Tim Allen's book right there. And I see, what's his name, Jasinski's book right there. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're up against the big boys. And you do the best you can, and your books will be right on top. Who's coming next, But I think it's because there's something different, There's something unique that we're doing that the other person didn't say. And the key is when you're talking to them, if you can figure out what that is, you'll get it every time. It's like it's anything. It happened one time down the south coast of the Highlands. We had our usual presentation. The lady's probably 65, 70, widowed, and I knew she didn't like me and Mark. There was no real, go there. But everything we talked about, pictures and MLS and pricing, comps, she knew as much as we did. She said, I understand, I don't care about it. But whenever we talked about technology or the online stuff, she would just gloss over like it was like a foreign language. But she was captivated by it. So we immediately started talking about our database, about all of our buyers that we have on leads and how we do our buyer prospecting. And she's like, I want that. Everyone else has everything else I can hear. I want that website and those 5,000 people to look at my house. And so that was it. So we got it from that. And that was, if we didn't have that story about the database, a story about online activity, we would have just been the next one she interviewed.
Now, when you first get at the table with these people, are you get right down to business, or do you talk with them a little bit, ask them some questions? How do you approach it?
So we've already met at the table and had the casual conversation. So we met Fluffy the dog, and we've seen the house, and they're offering us water, and we're back for a reason. So it's a little bit different. That first one, yeah, very informal. Hey, I think I know you're so and so, and and all that. But now they're actually, some are frustrated because they had to wait an hour or 2 days for it.
Yeah.
Because they called us to come back, and we told them here's our process.
Yeah.
So for us, they come to like, have a seat, want water? What do you got? And then of course we drive them crazy because we talk about the marketing first.
Sure.
And the price last.
Right.
But I usually open with that. I go, look, I know you want to hear about the price, but we're going to do the marketing first, because if we tell you price, we'll never get to marketing. And then they kind of laugh and so.
Sure.
But that's how it works for us.
Okay. Now, about the commission, how do you handle that? When does that come up?
God, it used to be a huge thing, but now it's nothing to us. Our new thing that we've done the last few years, and it works real well, is when someone says, well, what's the commission? Because we always give them a closing statement anyway, so it's on there. So they see it, and most people are like, oh, that's 6%, and they start counting their head. But so what about the commission? This seems a little high. And I go, well, it's not high. And we tell them, look, we'll charge 6, 5.5, or 5. You just heard what we do. What do you want to pay us? And a lot of them say 5.5. And these are people that we're going to say 5. But and very few even ask. A lot of them just say, oh, okay, we see the closing statement, and they do it. But when they push our commission, we're pushing back with, well, we'll do it for 5, 5.5, or 6. But you heard what we do. You know how unique we are, no different we are. You know what we're selling. What do you think we're worth? And a lot of them kind of goes back and like, well, I'll pay the 6%.
Yeah, you're putting it back in there.
All right. But the commission talks suck. There's no win there. But I'll tell you this, you guys. It's what you do for a living. You're a negotiator. Fight for your commission. Don't give $1,000 for hot water heaters. And I'm just telling you, because it's a sign of weakness, and it's not your hot water heater. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's your transaction, and you worked your butt off. You're doing your job for them. Give them a home warranty at the end or something. But just try to fight that stuff, because I tell you, I know clients once you start going to the commission. Well, how about 4.5? And how about this? And how about this? How about you pay for staging? And hey, this isn't my house. And I really want your business. I think you'll be very satisfied. But my God, I know what my costs are. I know what, I'm not saying 4.5 isn't effective or acceptable, but then I got to deal with what I put on the MLS. Because, I got to deal with all that. I got to deal with risk and liability. What if I sell it both sides? How could you sell a house and take 2.5%, 3% and represent both sides? You're probably going to get in trouble, and you didn't get enough money. So, I don't know.
Exactly. So, I did a little research on broker metrics a while back, and about 25% of the realtors in Monterey County make a significant living. 75, and then there's another 25% that just do a couple of deals a year, and then there's more than 50% that haven't done anything.
Correct.
So, what's the difference between the first 25% that make a lot? We're going to ignore the last 50%. The first 25% that make a significant living, and the second who, just kind of discount. Don't bring up the brand new people that just started.
Sure.
Talking about people who've been in the business.
Yeah. So the stats. I'm on MLS board too. And the stats of all 18,000 agents for the whole REIL MLSs. Same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. It's amazing to me how many people that don't do any business stay in this business. They pay the fees. They go on tour, all this stuff. But so I think the first 25% are the hardcore people in this room, people that are working their ass off for this business. Sorry, I said ass. But they're working very hard. They're doing all earmuffs. They're doing all the phone calls. They're doing all the planning. They're going to bold. They're working, okay? And they're doing very well. And they should. Then the other 25%, I think it's a combination of Some may not have the greatest skills, so they're suffering. They're trying hard, but they just can't keep up, and they're doing a little less. Or there's a lot of people in this business who don't want to do that kind of business. They're okay selling 3 houses a year because it's augmenting their spouse's income or what have you.
Sure.
And it's not a guy-gal thing. I mean, when I first started at Wallace Anderson Homes in San Francisco, Pamela Anderson, I was her assistant. I'd answer the phones, I'd cut out the ads in the paper, make her open home directory. And this lady, her husband was a huge accountant in San Francisco. He made so much money. Well, I remember the year when she made more than he did in Arinda. And he came in the office and he was just storming. He said, I'm not going to quit. You know, to him it was an insult. That, his wife is making $400,000 a year. And I'm like, Pamela's awesome. She's kicking your ass. So, I mean,
love that.
yeah, there's some people who just, they don't want to work that hard, so they do a few deals a year. And that's okay. But they're not doing the everyday stuff. That's got to be a difference.
Do you use scripts?
Yeah, I mean, I could do, I don't really have a lot written down, but for the team, we do scripts a lot. Yeah, we have them, we go over them. We do our power hours, which we never do enough of, but we do them weekly, supposedly. And we'll talk in the beginning and do some scripts. So yeah, we've done them better in the past. It just depends kind of, you know, how consistent you are with the call.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what are the subject matters of the script? Which do you find most effective in practicing?
Well, the ones I like the best are just calling your sphere and asking if they have any needs in real estate or if they know anyone who does. That's an easy. Then the referral is always good too. That can follow up with a referral. Also, when you call existing clients and you're telling them good news, you know, you got an offer in or whatever's going on and things are going well, hey, you know, do you know anybody that might need my services as well? That's a good script too. I'm not a big expired guy, nothing wrong with that, but if you're doing expired, you use a script for that, right? And then just any farm, if you're doing a farm and you're getting numbers and you're calling people that you know aren't on the do not call list, you can just cold call people and say, hey, my name's Jeff Davi, I'm a real estate broker in Monterey, and I was just calling to see if you're interested in selling or listing your house or buying a house. And I mean, that can do it. I don't think, those are my scripts, you know, unless if someone comes and says, want to work a certain thing, we'll make a script for that. Those are ones I use. There.
So, got a new buyer. You just met. What's your process that first, like starting with onboarding them? How do you get them to agree to work with you?
Well, okay, so they obviously contact us in some way. So there's some contact, texting, emailing. I try to get a meeting with them. You know, I want to sit down face to face because once we're talking, we're getting a rapport. I like to get them in the car. Get them in the car, go look at some property, go do something. Even show neighborhoods. That's I think, meet them and get them in and let them see your value. And you're not in the car yelling and chanting how great you are. You're saying, hey, this is that school, and this is the area of that school. This is a really good middle school, and here's this street. It's kind of tough because it backs up on the highway, so you know, be careful here. And this is Oak Grove, and this is what happens here. Just telling them the neighborhood. And for me, or for a lot of people like us who lived here their whole life, we know it so well that the minute they're in the car, they're like, this guy knows this market.
And that's a big deal because too, with the age of Zillow, where you're paying for your leads and you get the lead and somebody says, hey, I want to see this house. You drive out to the house without even researching. You print up a sheet, show it to them, and you don't know anything about the house. Do you think, what are you doing to earn their business for the next viewing or to earn their business for the entire process? That's huge.
So I get
Huge.
and that's one of the problems with online leads is that, see, and I'm glad you clarified what you said there because you're right. You know, it isn't just get them in the car, show the house. Like, okay, what do you know about the house? What do you know about the area where you're going? And have some other backups, you know? And your whole job in that showing is not to sell them that house. That's called a hole-in-one, by the way. Hi, I want to see the house on Briar Street. Okay, meet me at Briar Street. Oh, I like it. Write an offer. Hole-in-one. Doesn't happen very often. Okay? Normally, likely they walk in and they go, oh God, I know that's what he stairs. Yeah, I know, but there's one on the corner. It's a ranch style. You're gonna love it. You just got it. Come on, hop in. Follow me. Now all of a sudden, you know. But if you show them Briar, they don't like it, and they leave. What do you think they're thinking? Well, thanks for opening the door. I mean, a trained monkey could have done that.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you have a real estate team, a successful real estate team. You've had it for a while. What do you find? What is the advantage of a real estate team over a single agent?
Well, I mean,
The difference between
yeah.
the two.
I mean, I think the advantage probably is you get a lot of coverage, and I mean, it also helps. Like, you know, say you just know that. Say something wrong. Say you know that this person doesn't like, you know, maybe, you know, something about one of us.
Uh-huh.
Like I'll go pair with Linda, or I'll take Rochelle instead of Mark, or vice versa. Linda will call me and say, I'm going to bring Jeff because this guy's a real numbers guy and not a real touchy-feely guy. Mark's more of a touchy-feely guy.
Right.
And so, that's cool. You have some breadth on the team. Because, and we all help each other. And I mean, hey, this guy wants to write an offer on my listing, and we're not supposed to write offers on your own listings. Call so-and-so, and it's on the team, and everybody makes money. And so it's nice to have that. Plus, you also have a whole other set of skills and experiences to draw on. Like your Monday morning meetings, okay, we have Tuesday meetings that they're like little mini versions, same thing. We sit down for an hour, we talk about our prospects, we talk about some things we're doing, and it's like, that's a whole little team or company within a company. And we get all the good stuff we learn here on Monday, we get the same idea from us on Tuesday. And it's really, I think it's good. So I like it. I mean, and to me it works real well. It doesn't mean you have to be a team to be successful. It's just, and I also like this part. I hate when I leave town and I feel like I leave my clients hanging. And I mean, I'll take a call in Hawaii. We all do. I've called some of you when you're in Hawaii. And but once your client knows you're in Hawaii, I won't bother you anymore. Well, at least I got, Mark, I got Rochelle to cover the stuff.
Now turn it around. If you're a single agent, what's the advantage of a single agent over a team?
Not sure, 'cause I'm not a single agent, but let me try to
If
go
you
on.
were, put yourself in those shoes.
I mean, it's all you, right? I mean, you're the focal point, and you're only going to deal with me. I guess would be a good one, because a lot of people hate.
Sure.
Well, Jeff did the interview. Jeff listened to the house, but I haven't seen Jeff in 6 weeks. That's not true, by the way. But that would piss people off on a team, right? So that won't happen, and that's good. I think that's the kind of stuff that's good if you're on your own. Yeah.
So if you're a single agent and you're going up against a team, whether it's a listing or a buyer, what should be the strategy to win, to get an advantage over the team? What do you think?
I think you're gonna. The key
Trade
is
secrets.
what?
Trade secrets.
No, I don't mind. The key is differentiating yourself in some way. So if I was a single agent going up against a team, I'd try to say, well, you never know who you're going to show your house. I mean, what if one person knows it better than the other person? Because that's all true. Like when we have listings, I work mostly listings. I have a little write-up on every listing that never goes to public. But if Rochelle hasn't seen the house and she has to show it tomorrow, I'm sending it to her the night before. Because that's the worst thing. If you imagine if she didn't know about the well,
Sure.
or the $800 a year water fee, that's and I mean, so yeah, that's a good one. Go that way.
Yeah.
And say, hey, look, you're only getting me. You always get me. I'm your agent, and I'm not going to pawn you off on those levels.
Because there's a strategy that a team uses, had a team, to market yourself as an advantage over a single agent. There really is. But if a single agent has that same strategy in your hands, you could do the same thing right back, as I said, because there's room for both. So looking ahead a little bit, the next few years, we talk about the instant showings, the iBuyers. If you're not familiar with what an iBuyer is, you plug in some info online, you get an instant offer on your house, and it closes in 10 days. The virtual showing, the showings where you don't even need an agent. The house has a lockbox. You register online. You go in and you can see. I mean, what do you see the role of the real estate agent in the next few years? How is that stuff affected? Do you think?
So I mean, it's going to happen, no question. And there'll probably be a pendulum swing where it's going to go. And for a while, there'll be some discussion on, I don't need a real estate agent, I really don't. But I gotta tell you something, I don't know about you, Mike, because you manage a lot of agents too, so you know what time I spent on the phone explaining a city inspection report? Telling them why it's this way, or the water retrofit rules of Carmel and Monterey versus Salinas. And I mean, I just don't care. If you do that automatic I buy thing, and that buyer finds out he has to replace 6 toilets in a mansion in Carmel, he's not gonna be happy. I mean, just, so to me, even if they never meet you, and it's all virtual, there's gonna be some person on the phone that says, hey, I live here, don't worry about that. That's a retrofit rule, it's no problem. Here's what it means. That's a school district problem. You're technically in the Monterey School District, but you're in a Carmel zip code, so don't forget that. Is that important to you? Oh, we better not buy this house. That stuff you can't get online. So I think it may just be phone calls. If it was 20 years from now, it's all digital and no one's visiting or touring, it's all online. They're still going to talk to someone about the rules. I mean, look at these sewer rules. How could you do that? I mean, you go here to Santa Cruz. they're different. And I mean,
Yeah, it is absolutely true. I mean, if you take 2 or 3 real estate transactions in a row and they're simple, you get it under contract, everybody's happy, repairs are negotiated, seller has no problems, everybody gets paid, you're thinking, oh no, it's so simple. But then you get 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 bad ones, and you realize there's a big human element that it cannot be replaced.
That's the problem.
It cannot be replaced. It can't.
it's hard. We've been around since what, 1900? 1890 something, just so you know.
Yeah.
I mean, so they try to get rid of us for a long time.
So agents that are frustrated, can't get their business going, or they're in a, they're kind of like, I can't do it.
You said slump word.
Yeah, just the S word, What's your advice for mindset?
So, all right, I mean, first I'll say you should never be in a slump, because if you're in a slump today, then something you didn't do 3 months ago is causing it, 3 to 4 months ago. And I mean, I've said it to myself too. So first of all, get off your, I just can't do it. What were you doing? I took a vacation. I didn't really do any prospecting. I had 3 things in escrow. I was busy. That's the common cycle of agents, right? They get 2, 3 things in escrow, and they can't keep track of that. They forget all about prospecting. So you've got to prospect in the morning. You got it. Anyway, so once you get them over the hump of that, tell them that's reality, then they usually say, okay, well, you're right. And I would just say, phone call, double time. Do the calling and the outreach double time. It's going to take you 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks. But you'll see it. You'll have 4 or 5 things in escrow there. But there's nothing you can do to make it magic crystal ball tomorrow. I mean, unless you get lucky, right? There's nothing. I mean, I guess you can hang around.
So basically, get up, show up, do the activities, the business will come.
Yes. And it is, unfortunately, it's not 24-hour risk reward. It's
No instant
4 or 5
gratification.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that steak was great. Thank you.
No.
That's not that kind
Your
of
calls you make today help you 3 months from now. But your calls you don't make hurt you.
Think back to what were you doing 3 months ago?
It's easy.
That's a reflection of where you're at today. It absolutely is.
It's pretty easy to see it.
What was your biggest win, if you want to call it a win, like something you're just like really proud of?
This is your toughest question for me because I know you want it to be real estate related.
It could be anything.
I mean, for me, it's my family, it's my
Yeah.
kids, my wife, and then after that, I mean, I was pretty pleased to get chosen to be commissioner. It was a year-long process, so that for me was it. I mean, I love the deal. I love closing deals. I love big deals. My biggest deal was 12 million, so it's not a huge number, but that was big. But I mean, that deal doesn't mean nearly as much as getting the job as commissioner to me. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. So let's turn it around the other way. What was your biggest failure?
That was a tough one too.
Or regret? You use the word
Yeah,
regret.
regret.
Yeah.
I don't think I mean, I think I just don't like if I make a mistake or let somebody down, and it has happened, and I just hate that. I'm trying to think if one just stood out, I don't know why I'm thinking of one that's actually a mistake that I made for myself. So it did really hurt the client, it hurt me. So I'll do that one because. But I mean, the one I was trying to find one where I screwed up and it cost somebody something significant and I couldn't fix it. So I do my prospecting, my calling, and this one guy, I just didn't call him this quarter. I just didn't call him. I don't know why. And I love this guy. We used to go have a drink or lunch, and that's what I call him. We have lunch, and he tells me what he wants to do real estate. I don't know why, I just didn't do it. And so I called him 3 months later. And he says, oh, Jeff, yeah, let's go to the Cypress for lunch. So I go there for lunch, and, and this guy's really, yeah. So what can I do for you? I said, well, I mean, you have any real estate needs? It's time to talk about that. He says, you just missed the St. Moritz. I listed it with so-and-so on the Mahoney Tancredi. And I'm like, what do you mean? 2 months ago, John Mahoney called, and it was a 14-unit apartment in Carmel, and I was just like, what the hell's wrong with you? That was mine. Because, I mean, this guy, he was saving it for me probably. I just didn't call him.
And so how did you deal with that? How did you?
I was very upset. I was pissed at myself. That one really bothered me because, I mean, that was just too easy, So it just made me, I mean, I just realized I have to call everybody, and it's one of those life lessons, like you can't mess that up. And it's going to happen. You're going to miss listings, you're going to miss clients, you're going to have that happen. But that was, at the time, it was in the 90s, and I mean,
That was a big deal.
that was like a $6 million apartment, and it was big, and I was not happy.
That's why one of my favorite quotes is the one we started our meeting with on Monday. It was Nelson Mandela quote, which is, "I never lose. Either I win or I learn."
That's right. Well, there you go.
But you don't think learning when it happens. You're thinking, damn.
No, it's true. It's true. You are learning all the time.
So if you could do more of one thing, more of one activity you're doing, what would that activity be? What would you step up if if you could, physically could?
Probably just, I mean, I think I'd work your sphere better. I mean, I'm sorry to be a one-trick pony on that, but I think that's the key. I mean, so just stronger sphere, better sphere, bigger sphere, and call them more. I'm just a firm believer in that.
And that's one thing I remember. I was in Austin, and there was a committee, or if you will, a forum, and one of the people on that forum was the CEO of Redfin, which is a technology company, and they're all about eliminating the agent. That company is, right? And I remember at the end, this guy got up and he said, after all, there was somebody from KW, EXP, all the different Realogy person was there, I think, and he said, you know what? One advantage you all have over us in our technology company, Zillow included, is your sphere, the people you know. Don't get bought into all technology, and spend a fortune on just that. Don't not spend the money, do not know it, but and you hear Jeff saying it over and over, your spirit, your database.
Well, let me just piggyback on that, because the truth is, think about it, a complete stranger versus someone who at least knows you. They might know you from being a soccer mom on the football, who cares? They know you, right? Versus a random stranger who online got you and called you. That's a lot more sales to, convince them you're the one, right? But if you convince one of those strangers to be the one, they just became what? Your sphere. So they're cool because you're always growing your sphere, but your sphere is much easier. It's like a cold lead and a warm lead. Just, that's the way you think of it. But still, I mean, if you get someone from the internet and they like you and you sell them a property, they're going to be your sphere now forever. They're not internet lead anymore. And they're much easier to sell them something down the road.
Now, kind of in the spirit of what Michelle said earlier, why do you spend so much time and expense giving back to your community? What motivates you?
Well, I just think that I am so lucky to have been born into this community and my parents and just the life that I've had that, I mean, there's people that are just absolutely miserable, right? And look at these fires that are going on. I mean, we live in a Casbah here, let's be honest. I mean, sure, tragedies happen. I mean, we have fires here, earthquakes and things, but I mean, for the most part, look around us. And we're just lucky as hell, and that's great. But there are people here that have no food, nowhere to live. There are people getting beat up by their spouse. There's kids that no one wants to keep. And so that I find just disgusting. So once I learn about a plight like that, I'm trouble. I'm like all in. So I just wish people could tell me about the stuff that I would stop doing it. But to me, that's kind of my only thing that I can do to give back. And I can't always write a check because it's hard. I mean, it's a lot of money. But if you volunteer, if you do things, you help out, do a fundraiser, it's just as rewarding. And hopefully you help people improve. But we are lucky. You can be selling real estate anywhere. Tacoma, nothing wrong with Tacoma, but it isn't Monterey, Carmel, right? Cleveland, nothing wrong with Cleveland, but you're not there. You're here. It's a great place. I mean, you raise family here. It's a great place. So I think we're very fortunate to be here.
So, and I hate to use the term "your big why." That's a question, though. But another way to phrase that: what gets you motivated? What gets you ticking every year? Why do you keep doing this business over the years? Since '89.
It's probably the deal. Yeah, that's when I went to DRE. I missed the deals. I mean, it was just the same old stuff every day. I realized I probably would not like that kind of a job. I need the build up, the deal, the success. All right, and then it's like, what's next? It really does work for me. It's kind of like an endorphin thing. So more of those, the better.
So after 30 years in the business and all that, are you pretty much at your peak, or is the best yet to come?
I don't know. I hope the best is yet to come. But when I look back, I think, crap. It's hard to do some of the things. But the good news is prices keep going up, so that means you're probably going to make more money.
Sure.
But I don't know. I still got a good 15, 20 years in me, hopefully. So there's still more to come. The best is yet to come, I think. Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Jeff in the front?
Those are troopers for sitting through all this.
I really appreciate your taking the time out of your busy
No
schedule.
problem. It's good to
Thank
meet
you so much.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.